Are you looking for the best mirrorless cameras? In this video we will look at some of the 5 best mirrorless cameras on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. A7 IV camera. Sony's A7 IV, 9 out of 10, Wired recommends, is a 33-megapixel, full-frame camera capable of incredibly sharp images, with excellent dynamic range and the best autofocus system on the market. It's compact and light enough to carry all day without back strain, and the grip is comfortable. The 5-axis image stabilization means you can hand-hold it in lower light, and the wide range of 4K video options make it the best all-around video and stills combo on this page. There are better still cameras, see the Sony A7 RIV below, and better video cameras, but nothing else combines the two quite as well. What I don't like about it, or any other Sony, is the labyrinthine menu system. Luckily there are enough customizable buttons that it's not too difficult to set things up, so you never need to dive into the menus. My only hesitation buying this right now would be that the successor, the A7V, is rumored to be coming in early 2025. Specs. Sensor size 33MP full frame. Max photo frame rate 10 frames per second RAW. Video 7K oversampled, 4K 30p. Number 2. X-T5 Mirrorless Camera. The Fujifilm X-T5, 9 out of 10, Wired recommends, is one of the best cameras I've tested. The 40-megapixel APS-C sensor in the new X-T5 is impressive enough that you'd be hard-pressed to tell it from a full-frame sensor. Images from the X-T5 are sharp, wonderfully detailed, and don't suffer too much noise. This sensor also manages to retain that uniquely Fujifilm look. The X-T5 is more focused on the shooter of stills than video, though it can record up to 6.2K/30p video. The camera body's design is reminiscent of film cameras, and perhaps the best thing about it is how seldom you need to use digital controls. ISO, shutter speed, exposure compensation, and shooting modes are all accessible via physical dials. Plus, Fujifilm's excellent line of lenses is surprisingly affordable relative to some of the others on this list, making this one of the least expensive systems to invest in. My only real gripe is the grip. It's on the small side for a body of this size. Specs. Sensor size 40MP X-Trans APS-C. Max photo frame rate 15 frames per second RAW. Video 4K 60p. Number 3. A7RV. The A7RV has a massive 61-megapixel full-frame sensor, the largest sensor you can get, unless you opt for medium-format cameras. If that's not enough, there's a 16-shot, high-resolution mode that can create 240MP images, so long as your subject is static, e.g., a landscape. The dynamic range in the A7RV is outstanding, and the ability to recover detail in the shadows is something you'll only believe once you do it yourself. The autofocus speed and intelligence are nice, particularly the eye detect. The viewfinder is huge and bright. I also like that there's an option for compressed RAW files, as the uncompressed RAW files from this sensor run around 125 megabytes per image. As a side note, the A7RV test unit was provided by KEH Camera. I've bought used gear from both KEH Camera and B&H Photo and had great experiences with both. If you want to save some money, this can be a good way to go. Just remember to pay attention to shutter counts, the lower the better. Specs. Sensor size 61MP full frame. Max photo frame rate 10 frames per second RAW. Video 8K 24p/25p, 4K 60p/50p. Number 4. Z6 III Mirrorless Camera. Nikon's Z6 III brings most of the flagship features of Nikon's far more expensive Z8 and Z9 to the Z6 line. The Z6 III, 8 out of 10, Wired recommends, features Nikon's 24-megapixel partially stacked CMOS sensor, very fast and accurate 3D subject tracking system, and ProRes encoding for video, making it one of the best hybrid, photo/video cameras on the market. The partially stacked bit means you get some of the performance benefits of a stacked CMOS sensor, like those found in the Nikon Z8 and Z9, but not the downsides, or, at least fewer of the downsides. Stacked sensors, ahem. Stack the processing circuits right on top of the sensor itself. Technically, it's behind the sensor, which means the RAM is directly tied into the sensor, making for incredibly fast readout. This is what allows high-end cameras to shoot upwards of 12 raw images per second without the viewfinder blacking out. The downside to stacked sensors is that you run into some rolling shutter distortion with moving objects, and there is often less dynamic range. The Z6 III's partially stacked sensor is an attempt to lessen those downsides, and it mostly works. The 5.76 million dot viewfinder has a blazing fast 120 Hz refresh rate and is insanely bright and wonderful. It supports full HDR color space. The back panel isn't bad either, with a 2.1 million dot display and full articulation, which makes it easy to shoot video from pretty much any angle. The main downside here is the Z6 III has about a stop less of dynamic range than its competitors, but in actual real-world use, I didn't find this to be a factor. Specs: sensor size 24 MP partially stacked full frame. Max photo frame rate 12 frames per second raw. Video 6K/60p raw. Number 5. ZF Mirrorless Camera. The Nikon ZF, 8 out of 10, Wired recommends, is the camera I would buy if I were in the market for a new camera. I grew up in the film era, and I am still more comfortable turning dials and knobs than I am using touch screens. The Nikon ZF offers just that. Every setting you need to make an image is accessible on a dial or knob: ISO, aperture, shutter speed, and exposure compensation. There's also a switch to change shooting modes and another to change to black and white mode or video mode. The ZF looks like a 1980s film camera, but the 24-megapixel sensor and speedy autofocus system is decidedly modern and very nearly as good as the Nikon Z6 III above. There's no beefy grip to hold onto, though you can buy one, and I hate that Nikon doesn't give you a battery charger, but otherwise the Nikon ZF is a fantastic camera. I suggest the version with the 40mm lens, which pairs well with this body. Specs: sensor size 24 MP full frame. Max photo frame rate 13 frames per second. Video 4K per 60 frames per second, crop for 60 frames per second.